Hey, you all. Today we have something very interesting that's going to occur. I'm going to be interviewing Miss Sophia Stewart, the owner of the Matrix and let me do that chronologically correct. The Terminator and the Matrix um, franchise. Okay. And she's going to be explaining some things about herself. She's going to introduce herself, and we're going to talk about the movie and the books, and what led her down that road. So here we go. We'll go ahead and bring her on in.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, Miss Stewart. How are you doing?
It's not Miss Stewart. I'm married for the third time, so there is no Miss. That's
Okay.
an available lady
Okay.
that's never been married and had no children. My name is Sophia Stewart, and people can call me Sophia because that's my name, and
Okay,
that's what I
Sophia.
prefer. Thank
All
you.
right. All right, Sophia Stewart. So,
Yes.
tell us a little bit about your background before you wrote The Terminator and The Matrix.
Before I wrote The Matrix and Terminator, while I was at USC, I used to work for Channel 13 out of New York City. I'm a New Yorker, and I used to work for Channel 13 with Oscar Award producer Perry Miller Adato. She won her first Oscar when she did a documentary on Dylan Thomas. I also used to work for the studios while I was at USC, Columbia Pictures, out of Vice President Dick Barris's office, and the producer Brandon Cahill, Fantasy Island. I've been in the media since 1979 with Roots, and then, of course, in 1980 with Muhammad Ali, who was I was engaged to marry, and then on in 1981 when they wrote about me saying I was going to come out with the first Black science fiction, the first of its kind, of course, dedicated to Muhammad Ali and to my children, a boy and girl. Um, the book later on was dedicated to Ali and my children. But anyway, while I was writing it, they were talking about I'm going to come out with this first science fiction, talking about the one, the black superhero, and of course, the first time people in the Matrix got to see themselves as superheroes. Before that, it was the white man saving the world. It was Superman, Spider Man, Batman, Iron Man, and Rocky saving the world. Yeah. So the white man was always saving the world. And then people of color got a chance to see themselves united and saving the world also with The
Okay.
Matrix and Terminator film
Oh,
franchises.
okay. Would you like to put out your contact links for people to be able to add you on to Instagram or anything of that nature?
Well, I'm on all the social network, and my book sells on my website, truthaboutmatrix.com or matrixterminator.com. And for people in the foreign countries, I'm on Amazon. There's over 500 reviews on my books. I've written several books on Matrix and Terminator, and these books have been out and selling globally around the world.
Hmm.
So they are accessible and available. Or you could just simply Google Sophia Stewart's contact information, and my websites will come up. I've done over 5,000 media interviews. If you go to YouTube, you can go to YouTube and put in Sophia Stewart's interviews, and a lot of them will pop up.
Okay.
So I'm available.
All right. And for the people that just tapped in, if you look inside the message box in the comments, I put her link to be able to purchase her books on Amazon. Okay. So the book is very detailed, and they were able to pull six, seven movies out of this literature. So, what inspired you to write in such a detailed format in science fiction?
Well, I was inspired by God. My book is, and work, the copyrighted script and a copyrighted book that was published in the 80s while I was at USC, is about the second coming of the Christ, the evolutions of consciousness, man versus the machines. But it's in science fiction form, but it is spirituality, uh, meet science fiction. A
Okay.
lot of people never thought about that, you know. And when I saw Star Wars, the late 70s, went to the Apollo Theater because that's where Star Wars was there because the Sutton brothers owned the Apollo. And we used to go to the Apollo just to see all the musical acts and people, celebrities and stuff performing. And then in the daytime, they had it as a movie theater. So that was my first time contacting with Star Wars. And hey, I said, what if the Christ story was done in science fiction form? That would be an amazing story. And
Mhm.
then I started looking for George Lucas. So at the end of the screen credit, it says Lucas was at 20th Century Fox. So that's where I sent over my copyrighted work and published book and copyrighted script and book.
Okay. And for those who don't know, George Lucas, correct me if I'm wrong, is the director of the Star Wars series, right? Franchise,
That's
right?
right. And he was the director that I was looking because I wanted him to direct my work. What people don't know is that you've seen the adaptations of Lords of the Ring book by the late J.R. Tolkien and the Lords of the Ring movie. You've seen the Gravity book, the Gravity movie, the Maze book, the Maze movie. Some of the greatest franchises come from these books. And movies are nothing but film. Nobody wrote anything. You just like you take your camera and you go film some source work right now. You didn't create the source work, you're just filming it, and it's just called a derivative. That's all it is, derived from a source, and it's a licensing deal, and that's all it is. And it only has a fraction of a book. If a book is 286 pages, a movie is no more than 1 hour and 36 minutes, no more than 2 hours and 10 or 15 minutes.
Right.
Just a fraction out of a book.
Right.
So if you
So,
got a book, you can get a lot of movies out of a book.
right. Me being an
And a,
author, I
and a
too know that.
copyrighted, yeah, and a copyrighted script and a copyrighted book.
Right.
My work
Right.
was already copyrighted. My copyrights were 81, 83, and 84. So I wasn't some woman in the 70s unemployed. I was a kid. I'm a prodigy. I skipped high school, went into college, got a degree in law. I'm an attorney. And I whipped some butts in the courts to get the damages. I won
Okay.
against several law firms. One law firm had 100 attorneys, and I sued four other law firms, won two default judgments, got two federal judges recused off the case. Some things that are totally unheard of for some lawyers to do.
Right.
My
Right.
accomplishments.
Right. So tell me, in relation with the material that you wrote and comparing that with the status of society today, do you see any similarities?
Uh, my book is 100 years ahead. I'm a prodigy is ahead of people. It's just like the little girl, 12 years old, get a degree and she go work for NASA. I'm talking in matrix about quantum physics. I'm
Right.
talking about calculus, ancient sacred geometry. I'm talking about a Terminator wrapped in flesh, killed but cannot be killed. First time anybody ever seen a visionary would work like that. You go back and you look at H.G. Wells, visionary. He's got the old metal robots clankety clank because he was born in the iron industry. So he saw a machine as metal. I'm born in the digital age, so I'm seeing a machine looking like flesh and blood, like we look. I'm
Right.
talking about test tube babies in the book. I'm talking about drones and clones and hologram clones, stuff that's unheard of. I'm talking about Apple before Apple even came here and where it's going to end up or where it's going in the future with the touch screen 6x9 tablet everybody is going to be carrying because there'll be no more boom boxes, no more bulky TVs, no more any of that stuff. Won't need it. This one 6x9 that I spoke about, 10 or 15 years ago in interviews is all that people are going to be carrying in the future because it's going to be your home, it's going to be your school, it's going to be your job, it's going to be everything. Everything that's going on is going to be in the 6x9 touchscreen thin tablet that everyone is carrying. And the new jails, I talked about that. They're going to they're going to do away with all the jails and prisons that you know now because it's too expensive, too much time consuming, too bulky, and they're going to get rid of. They're going to have white laser rings around you, and everybody's going to know you're in jail with these laser rings, and you become your own judge, jury, and executioner in the future if you cannot obey and behave yourself. The
Eh,
moment you grab something and steal something, it activates the ring, the laser ring, it cuts your hand off and it stops you from bleeding. You run from Homeland Security, a SWAT, it activates the ring, cuts your feet off, cuts your legs off. And if you kill somebody, it activates the ring to cut your head off. You execute yourself. Now, when you go home, the rings rescind. When you walk out the door, they come back on. If someone comes to visit you, they come back on. And I told people, and this has been years, at least 15 years, I told them we're going to have drone transports that were going to be big and driverless, no drivers in them. So they've been listening to my interviews for a long time. I'm talking about drones that look like birds that are listening at your conversation. This is in Matrix 4 book. Matrix 4 book has been out since 2010 for 13 years. 13 years
mhm,
since
mhm.
2010. And all
Right.
the futuristic stuff that you're talking about now, I've been talking about that for years.
Right. So you see that we're in the progress going down that road as of right now with the current stuff that's going on in society, hence the robot development, the AI development, and things of that nature.
Well, the first artificial intelligence over in that they gave citizenship to over in the Arab countries, they named her after me, Sophia. She was the first artificial intelligence. She is a woman. Her name is Sophia. They
This
gave
is
her
the truth.
citizenship. Yes.
Hmm. No, I
They
wasn't
know who wrote
interrupting. Go ahead.
Matrix
I'm
and
listening.
Terminator. I say they know who wrote Matrix and Terminator and who owns it. Everybody in the world that are someone who has some significance here on Earth know who Sophia Stewart is in the Matrix and Terminator. No one had ever seen any type of work like that. The logos came out of my book. The red and blue pill, I'll be back, the dialogue, the Terminator wrapped in flesh, time traveling, naked without shame, uh, Predator is in there, X Files is in there, the detonators, um, Cephalus is in there, which is really soulless. When the gods walk the earth, that work has been turned into other stuff. Total Recall is in there. The first Dune movie didn't come from the first Dune book. A policeman got in touch with me and he told me, he said, I read the old Dunes book in the 70s, and that first Dune movie came out of your book is nothing like the old Dunes book. And I knew that. From looking,
Mhm.
I introduced martial arts fighting in regular mainstream movies. Before that, martial arts would be in martial arts movies only. I introduced wearing black, being beautiful and cool, because Hollywood had all the good guys would wear white and the bad or evil guys would wear black. I reversed that in The Matrix. The cool black look, wearing black, comes from me. It's in my book
Mhm.
because Neo, the one, wore black at all times.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, that's very interesting. And that Lincoln was black too, huh? Remember that?
Well, Lincoln
I'm
is
trying to.
black.
Yeah.
Abraham Lincoln is a black man. There were several black presidents before Obama. Jackson, Andrew Jackson, Thomas Jefferson, um, Eisenhower, Hardison. You can pull them up. All you have to do is Google 7 black presidents before Obama, and they will pop up and they will tell you the interracial percentage of white or black or others that they have in them.
Right. Right. I think that's the Articles of Declaration before the.
There's a lot of
Before,
white skinned people that are passing for white that are not white. I'm sorry. This has been going on since the beginning of time. You are not the skin. I'm sorry. Yeah, you are the blood. People are the blood. They need to get away from the distractions because there are a lot of black people with silky blonde hair, blue eyes, green eyes, gray eyes, strawberry blonde hair, strawberry blonde nipples, and they are black people
Hmm.
passing for whites.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
Just telling you like it is.
Yeah, a lot of that was going on during the so-called slavery, or what they call slave. A lot of that was going on with the Moors in Spain, and we've seen a lot of different levels of that. Stewart is a Moorish name, correct?
Stewart is it's his English name. It's an English name for to be an overseer of the people, to be a
Hmm.
stewardess of the people. And
Hmm.
Sophia is a Greek word for wisdom. It's in the Bible.
Right,
So
sophisticated.
Sophia
Right.
would be God's wisdom. So what my real name is wisdom, but
Hmm.
it's Greek for Sophia, and Sophia is in the Bible. So if
Right.
you look
That's
at the word Sophia, you will see philosophy. You
hmm.
will see pi, the ratio of all numbers, 314.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, and also the word sophisticated is Sophia as well. So, and I mean, that is the bottom line to it. They did name the robot that they're promoting right now as the first robot that's going around being used as the marketing tool to get people conformed into this, is named Sophia. You can't
Oh
get
yeah.
around that. Right. So how do you feel about that? Do is it just a hunch of the shoulder thing? You're sort of used to it by now, or
Well, I mean, I've been talking about this work for a long time on interviews. And to me, imparting knowledge has always been my thing to help heal. Being a shaman, being the oracle, I put myself in my work. I'm the oracle. My grandmother was an oracle, a shaman, full-blooded Cherokee from the Indian reservations. Couldn't speak a lick of English. My grandfather, Spaniard, from Portuguese, and Spanish blood, couldn't speak a lick of English. So I'm on both sides of my mother and father's side is the Portuguese and the Cherokee bloodline. So that history is very phenomenal for me. We are close to the earth. I never was born with a birth certificate because the natives, they don't believe in going into hospitals. They used to have their babies in the water and with midwives. A lot of people don't know that for some reasons, and people are calling themselves Africans, and there's no such thing as an African. There's no such thing as a nigger, a Negro, a colored person, an Afro American. Talking about your hair, and white man's name is Afghanis, Africa, and the late queen called her plantation, the continent, Africa, after the white hero.
mhm,
So it's just like when Muhammad Ali tried to tell people, my name is not Cassius Clay, my name is Muhammad Ali. Cassius Clay is a slave owner, and to take on his name is to say you were a slave and you belong to the plantation. So he
right.
says, no, my name is Muhammad Ali. The same thing in Roots with Kuti Kinte and Toby. My name is Kuti Kinte, it's not Toby. If he goes out there using Kuti Kinte, his family is going to find him because he's been kidnapped. But if he used Toby, Toby is in a book and it's marked him as a slave owned by a plantation. So if he runs away, they're going to bring Toby back to the plantation. But if he uses his name Kutikente, he's going to be rescued by his family.
Hmm.
Same way with Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth. They would go down to the South and kidnap the people and bring them back to freedom up north. It was just free labor. The South got rich off of free labor. It was no such thing as slavery all over the world. The first
Hmm.
slaves that came over here to America were the indentured slaves out of Newgate Prison with King George,
Hmm.
the English people.
Hmm.
And they told them they can take them and make them higher and go kidnap a lot of people and put slaves underneath them, and they could be over those slaves, the kidnapped people, sex trafficking, the sound of freedom,
Right, right.
the
And
movie.
it's funny you brought up the movie Roots, and there's some Matrix energy right there because the definition to the word Matrix is the female womb, correct?
That's right.
The
Every woman
uterus.
is a mother
Now,
of her womb, a
right,
mother
and now
of the
watch this.
matrix.
The word Kunta is German for female womb. So
Well, I
here,
didn't know that.
yeah. So here it is that, my generation and the generation prior to me were sort of, socially engineered with that movie being on television so much, and it was sucking us into a matrix, basically,
Well,
of
matrix, the word
slavery.
matrix is a 7,000-year Latin word for the woman's stargate or
That's
portal, her
right.
womb.
Hmm.
And of course, matrix is mentioned 5 times, I told people over the years, in the King James's Bible. 3 times in Exodus, 2 times in Numbers. Exodus 34th chapter, 19th verse, God says, he who opens up the matrix are my children. His three-dimensional children, including the female animals, have matrix. They have wombs. The female will have a cow, a horse, a sheep. They have babies.
Hmm.
In other words, I came out of the womb of a woman, not out of the ass of a man. A man will never have breast milk.
Right.
He will never have a feeding tube called an umbilical cord. He will never have estrogen flowing through the body, a hormone, to expand the matrix womb for 9 months or 36 weeks. So, why is Dr. Frankenstein lying?
You
What
know.
is the reason for the lies? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And the name Frankenstein means French Jew, is Frank and then Stein is Jew. So, you got to watch out for some of those dynamics that they slip on you through names. But as you were stating earlier with the whole ring thing and where
Well, you
criminality.
look at the word Frankenstein, that is a
Mhm.
Jewish name, Stein,
Right, right, right,
you
right,
know?
right. And I wanted to bounce back on something you said earlier with the how you will be your own judge, jury, and executioner. So when we look at that dynamic and we look at today's criminality, of course, there's going to be a phase of the RoboCop in between there. Do you think RoboCop was drafted out of this material as well? And what do you think
Listen,
about that whole situation?
RoboCop came from, like I told you, H.G. Wells. H.G. Wells was a visionary in the 30s and the 40s, and he was born in the Iron Age. And all the old robots, metal robots, clankety clank, that's old technology. So,
Mhm.
iRobot is an old technology. But when you look at the Terminator came out October the 26th, 1984. My copyrights are 81, 83, and 84, but February the 6th, 84, before the movie ever came out. Matrix didn't come out until March the 31st, 1999. So now you're looking for at the first time, you're looking at a machine wrapped in flesh, killed but cannot be killed, a Terminator that looks like a person. This is the first time this is being introduced.
Mhm.
But the old metal clinkety clank has been in all the old science fiction movies. Go back and look at all of them.
So would you also box the Terminator 2 where he was Mercury into the clankety clank, or is this the next stage of development, or what are
What
we
is
looking
what is what is Mercury? You can answer that yourself. What is Mercury?
Mercury is it's a liquid
Yeah, but what
with
is it?
a, a metal. To me, it's on the elemental chart as in,
Well, that's right. Well, thank you for answering your own
right,
question.
liquid and a metal, I guess, but
Yeah, well,
depending on
thank
temperature.
you. Well, thank you for answering your own question.
Right.
How about that?
Well, it was an
Because when I'm
intelligent metal.
talking about, no, no, listen, there are no intelligent metal.
Well,
Metal do
educate
whatever
me.
metal does whatever the creator has it to do. Whatever has been created by the creator, That's what the machine is, the AI. I'm talking about test tube babies. I'm talking about clones, drones, artificial inseminated babies. I'm talking about petri dish babies. Do you see hologram clones? These are the new machines. These
Mhm.
wrapped in flesh, looking like, but they're seedless and soulless. You take a hybrid, or take a mule, he's a hybrid. You get a horse that's big, but he's weak. You get a donkey that's little, but he's strong. And you breed these. And what did you get? You get this mule. Now the mule is about as big as a horse, but he's strong as the donkey. But he's seedless and soulless. He can't have a baby
Mhm.
because he was created in the laboratory by man. He's a machine, but a
Mhm.
living evolution machine,
Mhm.
machine that comes through evolution.
Right.
But he didn't come from God. He didn't come from the matrix. He didn't come from the womb. Maybe he was put in there as as a clone, because cloning is when you take your DNA and a syringe and an egg out of a woman or a horse or a sheep and insert the DNA in there and put it inside of a womb. And
Mhm.
it's going to grow a copy of you. It's called a memory chip that I'm talking about in Matrix 4 evolution and how the new machines are evolving and how they come upon the earth. I'm bringing forth all this new technology that no one is explaining it to you.
Right. 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 So, in you explaining it to us, would you say it's good or bad, or this is the way things are going to turn, and we really have no defense against it? We're just going to have to ride the wave.
Well, God says, my people perish because of a lack of knowledge. You die every day out here because of something you don't know. Or you elevate every day out here because you have knowledge that others do not have. Why is one man a billionaire and one man is poor? Because of a lack of knowledge or because of knowing something that the others do not know. The
Hmm.
knowledge that one man can have can make him a billionaire, and the lack of knowledge that another man has can make him a pauper, make him poor,
Hmm.
insignificant, or he dies because he doesn't know what the wealthy man knows and utilizes.
Right. So within that statement, I have to ask you, you're a supporter of going to college like yourself. You've passed the bar, you're an attorney and things.
I don't have to take the bar to be an attorney. Lincoln didn't take the bar. There was no such thing as the bar. That was added on years later. There was no medical license for a doctor. Those are called medical practice and licensing practice. Because
Hmm.
what are they doing? They're practicing on you. They didn't promise, the doctor didn't promise he was going to get you well. He didn't promise he was going to heal you. All he said he was going to do was practice on you with different chemicals, different meds. And what did the lawyer? The lawyer didn't promise to win any case. He's just going to practice on you because it's called a medical practice in a legal practice.
Legal.
That's right, a legal practice and a medical practice. And
Hmm.
the Queen of England, the late Queen of England, was over the bar. Those are licensing that you get to practice that concerns money.
Hmm.
If you don't have the license, you can't practice.
Right.
It's all about money. If you
Right.
go and take the bar in New York, you might have to take it 9 times before you pass it because you're going to make a lot of money. Same as in California. But if you go to Mississippi or some Alabama, you might have to take it 2 or 3 times and pass because you're just going to be, because you're not going to make that much money.
Right.
That's about controlling money. But go back in your history books. There were no doctors with no medical license. There were no lawyers with any bar licensing. That doesn't make you an attorney or not an attorney. That just gives you the privilege to practice on somebody. That's it.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
It's the
Okay.
truth. You can consult with anybody as an attorney, as a doctor, and you're not practicing meds, you're not practicing law on them, you're not doing their cases, you're not going in and doing their cases, meds and stuff, where the biopharmaceuticals are giving you chemicals and maybe paying you $7 million to push some drugs on people,
Right.
some
So
new
the
drugs. Come
right.
on.
So the basis of your knowledge comes from self-education and experience, then, correct?
No, I have a degree in law. I
Right.
was taught by the Brooklyn and Manhattan attorneys, some of the most brilliant minds in New York City.
Right. Okay.
I was taught my first teaching of me being a master writer when I was in the grade, seventh grade, 11 years old. My first teacher was a college professor. Then in the when I went to the City University of New York and USC, my teachers was Max Siegel, famous journalist with the New York Times, Emil Kapulia, essay author critic, Big Apple playwright Paul Cherry, Leon Roth, whose son is the screenwriter Eric Roth, that won an Oscar for Airport 79. His dad, a producer, was one of my teachers. My work won 4 Oscars.
Right. That's what I was trying to stress to the audience, that collegiate intelligence is mandated. Mandated for yourself, mandated for your kids. That's the way you're able to walk up a ladder, is being able to sit under great minds, like she just mentioned, and they're scattered all across the broad. There is what you want to call what the invisible war that's going on, and people are just born knowing what their responsibilities are, especially in this education field, and they go about it, right?
Well, yes, of course. It depends what schools you go to, and what you do in those schools determines who you're going to become or what you're going to do later in life.
Right. Right.
Some schools and some teaching is better than others. Some, require greater depths of knowledge before you even graduate or anything.
Right. And you're going to get that from the laboratories that are provided in the universities.
Of
And
course.
right, that's how you get a hands-on intelligence and development in those, in whatever field that you choose upon. I just wanted to stress that to my audience, and I'm very glad that you support the same line of being educated by the outside, but also keeping up the responsibility of you educating yourself as well, as she stated the books. And I
Well, I
have her
didn't
book.
educate myself. I went to phenomenal all-white schools,
Hmm.
and I had some of the best mentors and some of the best teachers that told me that when they read my first book that I was going to be more richer and famous than they were. And so this is some compliment. A great and Muhammad Ali just saying that my work was just phenomenal and how he had it, framed on his wall in his mansion. And many people going there visiting him saw my work, and he was just blown away. He introduced me to a lot of film directors and producers and celebrities and all types of people. He was very proud of my accomplishments.
Right.
It's about your accomplishments.
Thank you for stating that as well, because that's another thing that I try to enforce as much as possible on my audience, that your achievements and your accomplishments are the most important thing that you could rely upon as an adult. Okay. And you have to have some validity out here in the world, in a position that is in support of a mass amount of people, as her books have touched many people across the globe and have influenced many, many films. If you click on the Amazon link that I just posted in the comment section, it'll take you directly to her page on Amazon, so you can purchase her material. So tell us a little bit more about Matrix 4, the conclusion.
Well, Matrix 4 is not the conclusion, it's the continuation of the Matrix and Terminator. And
Hmm.
everybody who's interested in getting more Matrix and more Terminator is going to get Matrix Evolution. And that comes right after the first Matrix. I made 2 and 3, Rebellion, Reloaded, and Revolution a dream, because no one kills out a franchise. No one kills out Neo and Trinity and Morpheus. That doesn't make any sense.
Hmm.
The only reason it makes any sense is if they did not do it. That is the only way you'd be the killer of something. And this is what happened with King Solomon when a woman stole another woman's baby and tried to lie and said it was her own. and they were fighting over the baby. And King Solomon, a man of great wisdom, came on, and he said he would cut the baby in half and give one half to that one and one half to the other woman, to the thief and to the owner of the baby.
Hmm.
And of course, the thief said, yes, cut the baby in half. But the mother did not want the baby to die. She told King Solomon, just give the baby to her. Do not cut the baby. I will not kill my child.
Hmm.
And King Solomon says, you are the mother. Take this thief out, take her and hang her.
Hmm.
And you can go into the Bible and read the biblical story. You can Google it, the wisdom of King Solomon. And so I perform like the mother of your creation, of your work. I'm not going to kill my work. I'm not going to divide my work. They offered me $30 million for the shooting script to Matrix 4. But I wanted people to see the truth that they never wrote, never created, and never owned the Matrix nor the Terminator. The biggest lies ever told to 8 billion people here on Earth.
Yeah. Right. So is it in works right now, Matrix 4, to become a
There
film?
are lots of people trying to get it, but you can't just give it to anyone. God has to choose who gets it and when it comes upon the screen. My life and my work, Matrix and Terminator, is the message of God. It has 2 to 3 billion fans around the world. It is a phenomenal message delivered upon the people. Nothing but a message from God could do such phenomenal stuff. And winning 4 Oscars being a science fiction.
Hmm.
No, God is the one decides who gets it and when it comes upon the screen. But in the meanwhile, the fans are reading it around the globe and they know it to be true. Go on Amazon.com, there's over 500 reviews. Look at the 5-star reviews. It is the real thing, and people are buying it because they love the Matrix. And when they saw the regurgitation, resuscitation, resurrection movie, that was about Tiffany with a husband and 2 kids. It was about John Wick, not Neo. It was about some old general with dreads on her hair, 80-year-old, but not Niobe. It wasn't about Morpheus, but some naked man. It was just garbage. It lost $100 million, and people were asking for their money back, especially the Matrix diehard Matrix fans.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
It
So
proves that they
when
never
you
wrote it.
the literature that you wrote that they took the movie made the movies out of, was there any racial position changes, like was Neo originally black in your book, or?
Neo, listen to me. Neo, Keanu Reeves, that portrayed Neo, his father is Polynesian. Everybody on Earth are black except for the vampires. And the
Mhm.
vampires came from another place. And they all know this. And their time is short here. There are a lot of white skinned people passing for black. There's a lot of white people that are not part of the vampires. You go back and look at the old vampire movies, they cast no image. They were evil. There were white people in the village that did not associate with them. And I just don't understand, what is this skin thing with people? Why are you confused about the skin? God says we are the blood. And if you do the blood, you'll know who you are.
Right.
These
Correct.
labels that they're giving you, African American, American, and all these other names, they're invented by man to distract, to separate and divide you from the truth. They're nothing but mere distractions, so you won't find out the truth. You're
Right.
glorifying yourself and putting yourself on pedestals and want to be this and that and leave the best land in the world. It was nothing but indigenous people here in what they call America.
Right.
This
And
land
all.
belongs to the indigenous people. Do
Mhm.
not forget them. They were born and they came from here. No one had to be transported from anywhere. It was black people on the whole globe. This globe is huge. You don't have to go 8,000 miles and have to stop in at 4,000 ports to get fresh water and food to go anywhere. That's how far the continent is away from America. 8,000 miles, 4,000 miles ports that you have to stop in and get fresh water and food. No, millions of people are being deported from one area to another. At one time, the earth, before it tore apart and was separated by water, we walked everywhere on the landmass.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Go back and look at the old ancient history. Go look at the name. Africa wasn't called no Africa, it was the motherland. It was called the motherland. And
Mm-hmm.
ancient aliens were there, and Egyptians were there, and other people were there. Too numerous to even trace and track who they were.
Mm-hmm. 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 Right.
Stop separating and dividing yourself. Stop
Oh, I'm
distracting.
not there. Yeah, you're saying that to the audience. I
I
have no
am saying
problem
that
with
to
any
the
race.
audience. I
Right.
am saying that to the audience. That is the universal you.
Right.
The people out here that are separating and dividing and distracting themselves. If you really want to know who you are, go and have your blood tested. Go
Yep.
see where you came from, see who you're part of. Because you'll sit up there and say all kinds of stuff. And then guess what? When that blood is tested, you'll find out, oh my God, I'm not really Irish. I'm not really African. I'm not really Spanish. You're going to find out some truth. And you might even have some alien bloodlines, rare blood.
Yeah, don't do that. You'll end up disappearing. They'll come and get you.
Or maybe you might have some bestiality. You might have some animal bloodlines,
Hmm.
generational curses, a
Right.
100 years of generational curses.
Right. So
You're
I
not
wanted to
telling who
ask you
you are
this.
until you find out.
Right. I wanted to ask you this. And somebody in the audience mentioned it. Did you get a chance to watch the movie They Clone Tyrone?
Of course, I saw that movie.
So what did you think about it?
Well, Jamie Foxx is like a clone. they,
You
the
think
one that
Jimmy?
they showed on, well, he looked there. The one he didn't match up with his face. His skin was, he looked it younger. The clone looks younger. That's the way clones look. You've seen lots of them glitching out. They had Shaq was glitching out. Eminem was glitching. Katy Perry was glitching. Um, Mitch McCollum was glitching. Al Roker was glitching. I'm not the only one seeing them glitching. Go back and look on
Right.
YouTube.
Right. There's a lot of it. There's a lot of footage supporting that. But what do you think about the whole clone? Well, give us the Oracle's reasoning on why
Well,
clones are
anybody
here.
can be a, you can be a clone. Anybody can clone you. I can clone you. It's
Hmm.
really easy to clone you. I don't know why people think cloning is difficult. It's not difficult. All you need to do is go. Let me educate you. Go to YouTube and look at the polo players who keeps winning all the polo matches because he cloned his horse 100 and some times so he could cheat all the people and win. His horse was a winner when it died, and he wanted to keep winning. So he took the DNA to a scientist or a doctor, and they put all the dead horse's DNA in a syringe, and they got a female egg out of a horse, and they inserted that syringe in there and put the DNA in the egg and put it inside of a female horse's womb, and she began to birth the clones. And on 60 Minutes, when they were interviewing him, they asked him, what did he name the horses, the clone horses? He said he didn't give them a name because he had to clone 100 and some of them. So when one clone looked to the right, clone horse, all the clone horses looked to the right. And when one clone horse looked to the left, all of them followed pursuit because they mimic. They don't have any outside, um, on,
They don't have a
autonomy.
soul.
Well, they don't have a soul or a seed. They cannot like have babies. They have to keep, like, if one clone die, you got to go clone another one and bring him through the
Right.
matrix
So
process.
what
Same
would be
thing with
the
a sheep. Same thing with a living being.
Right. So what would be the reasoning to clone the movie stars and the rappers and the singers and all of this people, the people in Hollywood? What is the point in them doing that?
Well, the point in Hollywood is to make money.
Of course.
And that's what they do is make money. And look, they killed Tupac and Michael Jackson and Prince and Whitney and Biggie. I mean, and these people were making phenomenal money. Think about that. The money that they were making, their gifts were just astronomical. So why destroy those gifts? Because you know they lost a lot of money when these people died. And guess what? We have never even seen a tenth of their incredible gifts. Do you know they died young, some of them? And just think if they had continued to go on another 20 years, what kind of work, what kind of beautiful things that they could have created that could have uplifted and changed the whole entire world.
Okay.
But we'll never know that because they're gone. Now, maybe these clones serve a better purpose.
Right. But as you stated, I do see the money situation. Because
Of
that's
course.
just like a factory manufacturing cars, and in the 60s and 50s, they were using more humans for the development of vehicles, and now it's all automated by machines. So they don't have to pay a machine. You don't have to worry about a lawsuit coming from a machine. You don't have to feed a machine. You don't have to worry about medical issues. So that definitely makes sense. But in the same standpoint of you glitching out and the audience being able to tell that we're looking at clones here, it falls into a space of embarrassment. But
Well, a clone is nothing but a copy of you.
right.
I mean, if you are say, you are the first with the seed and the soul, the living being, well, you're going to go beyond that memory chip. A clone is just a memory chip. If I cloned you and you died in 1999, well, your extent of your knowledge only goes up to 1999. You cannot go past that. So we're 2023 right now. You're not going to absorb anything. Your knowledge is going to stop at 1999. This is why I think that when they were talking about Dave Chappelle being cloned, they can't get him to stop talking about homosexuals and homosexual jokes. But if he was cloned a certain period, homosexual jokes and everything was the norm. And he's not going to go past that memory chip. And you can't reschool a clone, just like the clone horse. Go look at the 60 Minutes, the clone horse. All the clone horse does is keep winning. Now, look, say the original horse had a star on his forehead. Well, when the clone comes out, it's a copy. Now the star might be on his chest, it might be on his leg, it might be on his behind. It's going to be someplace else, but it's not going to be on his forehead
Right.
where the original horse, the first horse, was a living
Being. Right.
a
Right.
being.
So basically, a clone copy can never be an exact model of the original, is what
No,
you're
it's
really
just
looking
gonna
at.
mimic.
Right.
All it's gonna do is mimic and copy the original. Just like you go out right now and take a sheet of paper, a document, and you go make some copies. The more copies you make, the further and further away you get from the original document.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
you could see it. Well, this is not the original document because the original document is totally different from the copies. Well,
Right.
just think of a clone. A clone is nothing but a copy, and that copy is going to look different. And go look at the Jamie Foxx clone, and look at his old pictures where he's got cuts in his face from razors because he's in his 50s and stuff. But the clone looks just like he's in his 20s or 30s.
Yeah.
His skin
Um.
is bright and shiny. He ain't got no cuts in his face, no dents from shaving. His head is elongated. And when you match it up, I can send it over to you. They don't match.
Yeah, there's been some odd scenarios since that they cloned Tyrone movie. We don't know what's going on. They're laughing at us with the title and with everything that just happened with Jamie Foxx. I feel like it's some form of mockery. They're slapping us in the face, like you don't really know what we got going on in our
Well,
laboratories.
I do because all they're saying is that whatever they saying in the movie, they've been doing it for a long time.
Right,
And they've been putting out these clones and people to tear down the establishment. And these
right,
clones, they die all the time, but nobody cares and nobody misses them. But they keep doing derogatory stuff to tear down the establishment. That's what I read in it. That
right,
hey, we're getting over on you. We've been doing this for a long time, and you wasn't aware of it, and all you've been doing is repeating it. Because we used to see people in front of stores, and they had liquor or beer out there drinking, and we would make jokes about them holding up the store. They're out there holding up the store. And this is in every neighborhood and all over in every state and city. You see these people, and what they're saying is a lot of these people ain't even real. They're just clones that they didn't put out there. Cloning is something that's old. It's not a new technology. You can go all the way back to Genesis. And the word Genesis is no Genesis, no such word. It's two words. It's an anagram for its genes. Genesis, turn it around, is Isgenes, it's genes. And what is it talking about? It's talking about Eve is pulled from the ribs of Adam. They're not talking about an Adama, a man. They're talking about resuscitating an atom, atom, a splicing, a splitting an atom is cloning. So
hmm
if you're pulling Eve, a nightshade, from splicing, you're creating a clone.
right. And
Because
like
a lot of
last
people
time we
don't
were
know.
talking, you mentioned the movie Body Snatchers.
That's right.
And yeah, that was what, the 1930s, 1940s. They had a lot of crazy
Well, they had
science
them in the
sci-fi movies coming out.
50s.
Yeah,
Yeah, they got some in color. But if you go look at the old black and white body snatchers, they would kill the living person, but they would clone them first. And you would see the little bubbling because that would be the atom, atom. They'd be bubbling and splicing and splitting and resuscitating and creating a duplicate, a body. And then they would just kill the original being, and the clone would walk around. And you know the clone because they tested. They would see how many people were living and how many clones had taken over. They'd have somebody jump off the building. Well, the clones would say, jump, jump, or they wouldn't care if
right.
you died. There was no emotional, no attachment. But those who had souls were screaming and crying and traumatized. Go back and look at the movie.
Yeah.
The
Um,
movies are telling you a lot. Go back
yeah.
and look at the old black and white vampire movies. Go back and I mean, I can
Nosferatu.
name off a lot of movies
Yeah.
that you can go and you can look at. The boys in Brazil, Hitler. They're all talking about cloning. I mean,
Yeah.
it's phenomenal. I can't believe people.
Yeah, even with the consumption of food. I know you remember this movie, Soylent Green.
Of course, they said all these bodies had turned the bodies into food, and
Yeah.
there was no more food for people to eat because they had made these bodies into a form of food where everybody was eating it, and when they couldn't get any more, they were protesting and ready to kill.
Yeah, 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 and that could be comparative with the fast food diet and road rage nowadays, right? So,
Well, it's a lot going on, and these movies been around for a long time. And I was
mhm.
just so surprised that a lot of people didn't even know what the hell these movies were saying. They didn't even know
Yeah,
what these movies were teaching.
mhm, mhm. There was a like the first movie George Lucas did, THX 1138 is the
Yes.
name of that movie. Yeah, a lot of people don't know too much about that film. That was before he started the Star Wars, and that film goes over a lot of these dynamics as well of just human control and cloning and robots being infused in society and operating society and so on and so forth. And the rabbit hole goes very deep in that area. So
Yeah, because when you go back to the Bible, when you look at the David having the slingshot, that's the way the gun was born. David invented the first gun because the cylinder spins just like the slingshot. When
Mm-hmm.
you snap it, you snap and hit the metal, and it propels the stone just like you do with the slingshot.
Slingshot, right.
Propels the stone, it goes inside of your body because it's going at a rate that is going to melt inside of your body.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same quantum physics, calculus, ancient sacred geometry, math with the slingshot. And when you look at the Ark of the Covenant and the two angels, Michael and Lucifer, covering the throne of God, when you look at the Ark, it's just a battery. The same battery that's in your car looks exactly like the Ark. Pull it up and compare it. And when you touch the Ark the wrong way, you died. When you touch that battery a certain way, you will get electrocuted.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It has a negative and a positive charge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people never associated it as the battery. A lot of people never associated a slingshot as a gun.
Right.
Why it killed Goliath, shot him in the head, and that if you kill the head, the body will die.
Right. 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 Number one
Yeah,
tactic and more.
yeah.
You
The
know.
principles are all there, but people don't look at them. They just look at the ancient stuff. They just look at the old stuff, but they don't compare it to what's going on now.
Right. A lot of people want to avoid the heavy weight, the mental complexity of trying to figure these things out. People want to stay based with, just paying their bills and going to Six Flags and then going to Papa John's for some pizza after that, regardless of what they're eating or what they're doing or what they're breathing. They're not really in worry of those type of scenarios and don't want to bog their mind over with it. Maybe it's because what they say in ignorance is bliss, right? Until it's knocking on your front door, right?
Well, when it affects you, then people want to make changes.
Right, right. People want to make changes, and
Yes.
I've made a lot of changes because of that. I'm sure you have too, and we got to keep our environment very secure. We don't know what's around the corner or what's peeping into your window. You dig? So, is there anything else you want to state before we close out?
Well, no, I do like to say people get the books. They're full of esoterical knowledge, spirituality. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to see where we're going to evolve and what's coming for the future. These books are 100 years ahead, full of knowledge. Just go on Amazon and look at the reviews. If you want to talk to me personally, go on my website and buy directly from me, and you'll get an audience with me. But if you go on Amazon, well, then you're free fall. But you can get it from wherever you want, Amazon. And I on my website, I also have ebooks for people that love ebooks. If you want an ebook or a physical book, come to my website, matrixterminator.com. Google Sophia Stewart's website, it'll come up. Get the books, talk to me, learn something. Matrix
All
and
right.
Terminator.
And
Get more
then next
Matrix
time,
and Terminator.
right, next time you see her, she might be interviewing me about my book. She has a copy. She has a copy of the Kicked Out of Heaven, the medieval series. And she asked me, why did you do that? Why did you open up the doors to the old world? And maybe we'll leave that answer for next time when you see her back on the show here with the God 720. And but she's a friend of mine, and we got a lot of events to attend throughout the city, so we'll be doing some things, and hopefully we'll be having a book signing coming up. We're gonna schedule that. We're gonna we'll be doing some things together. So just look out for that for everybody in the audience. I put her link up. Go to Amazon, get the real Sophia Stewart before it was a robot. You understand? Get the one in the flesh. So go to Amazon, get the books. They're available now. Go to kickedoutofheaven.com, get the books. They're available. And we're here. You'll be seeing more of us together. So look out for that. And thank you for coming in for the interview. I hope you have fun with me today.
Oh,
And
I did. I enjoyed it immensely. And see you soon.
yeah, see you soon. So peace, everybody. Thanks for showing up. Bye bye. Yeah, here we go. I'm out. Peace.